Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Shalom. Ashe. Namaste. Shalom. Peace. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am Napasha Da. You know what's funny? I have a couple of nicknames for myself, and Nappy Shadow is one of the nicknames that I use, especially like on different accounts that like I have to log into. So I love that name, Nappy Shadow. I think someone was trying to use it as something negative for me. It's really it's really interesting because that's one of the names I use, like a variation of Napasha Da. And we're going to talk about, well, I wanted to talk about the shadow people and the dark watchers. I always want to talk about the shadow people and the dark watchers. Some of us have had different phenomenal experiences, particular topic and the actual, I guess you could call entities. Some people, it's very more people are coming out telling their experiences. I've told my experiences over the years, uh, but I'm not really looking in the chat, so because I'm backing in to this spot. But yeah, I want to talk about it because it's very, very real. And why do I say it's real? Because so many people have actually experienced or witnessed these particular entities, even as groups together. We even have, I think, John Steinbeck, the well-known, famous late writer. He and his wife and his family lived in California in the wilderness, so to speak, in the mountains, and the wife used to see them on a regular basis. It's not just in the California mountains, though. I do think it has something to do with the West. I shouldn't even say that. I don't like putting it in regions because they're everywhere. But I know in the Southwest, they're very commonly seen. Dark watchers. Now, their experience, there has been a distinction placed between the dark watchers, which are seen in the element, like outside, compared to the shadow people who you will see inside of your home or maybe in like residential areas, So, um, but I've seen both. I really just first want to give you my take before I start talking about experiences. My take on this is that as we inhabit it, as we inhabit, I'm saying past tense, as we inhabit different parts of this land, and I mean all of the land, not just the United States, not just the Americas, but as we inhabit the land as people, as humans, we don't realize that. It's crazy. I'm here looking at this mountain and I see somebody riding a bike up in the mountains. I love Arizona. Okay, I digress because there's so many mountains everywhere. All right. Excuse me. So when we look at the land, because we are a part of the land, right? We don't think there are things here that are inexplicable. Like we never see, like as I look up at the mountain, well, I'm different, but as with the average person, if they look at a mountain, they don't think there are phenomenal beings that don't just live on top of the mountain or on the side of the mountain. They live everywhere in the mountain, including side, like in the earth. We would see, even saying that, people would make fun of it or scoff at it like, oh, that's so funny. Because, see, our experience here, we never, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that we would be able to look at the trees, even trees in the wilderness, in the forest. Say you go to the national, say you go to Yellowstone Park, right? And you're there. You don't think I'm in another. It's kind of like you don't think there are things in here that have never been seen and never explained by science. We don't think that because we've become comfortable. We've actually convinced ourselves as a society that we know everything. We know where everything is. We know why it's there when we see it. We know when we look at an area, we know what's inside of it. It's like we have convinced ourselves that we know. Why? Because we've explored so much of the land, right? We're so used to going into that forest time and again, or climbing up to that mountaintop time and time again. So we think, which is really um delusional if you think about it, no pun intended. Get it? Think about, because I've been here so many times, despite how wild this area is or how wild the land is, I know where everything is. Everything here is can nothing in here is inexplicable. Everything here I'm familiar with because I'm a human. I know this whole land. This is my dominion. You get it? But in reality, we don't know. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's right, what's amongst us, like what is among us. We don't know. And I'll even take it to these places that we're building in these different, um, we're clearing out trees and we're leveling mountains and we're building communities right into the wilderness, right? I mean, we are. We've done it for lifetimes. And I'm not just talking again, I'm not just speaking about the Americas. I mean, everywhere. We make our area, we want to live here, this is how we live, so we build our homes, whatever it is. We build our communities into this land, and when we do that, we become comfortable, right? People say, what do you mean we become comfortable? We're earthlings. Yes, we are earthlings, but I'm talking about the modern mind becomes comfortable. There was a time, our ancient people knew very well about these beings, about these shadow people. Our ancient civilizations knew that there are beings that are not human or that may be part of human, basically that are not like us, and that they have different types of powers. They know how to manipulate the elements that we used. There was a time we all knew how to do this, but now as we get modern, just like with babies when they grow up, they say that from age 0 to 5, you have like a past life, and then after that, your psyche has changed to where you can't remember your past life once you get past the age 5. So with us, we become so modern, and we have programmed ourselves to, probably also out of fear, to just to cope with the fear, but we programmed ourselves not to even fathom that there are dark watchers or shadow people or these entities that we can't explain, like talking about cryptozoology, like the Yenaldushi, the Sasquatch, the abominable snowman, um the Yeti, which is the abominable snowman, um you know chupacabras, all things and entities and beings. We say, oh, that's not real because it doesn't fit into um our understanding our concept of our existence. It throws us off. So with that understood, let's take it back to the shadow people and the dark watchers. Because so many people, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people over time. I'm going to even dial down because we'll just go by what we can see on social media. Tens of thousands of people worldwide have told stories that if you've experienced that, like I have, it really does something for you. It's like a validation, and then you get excited. All these people telling the same stories, similar stories. I hear people telling similar stories. I just heard this one he's like in his 30s, but this man told a story about a shadow person / dark watcher when he was a boy. So basically, we're all coming out and we're telling these stories, and it's no longer just like a joke. It's not a joke like, oh, ha ha ha, you're weird. You have a mental issue, because credible people are coming out, and groups of people are saying we all saw it together, and they're even getting footage of these entities. But I digress. So this one story that this man told. He says he's in his house. He's 8 years old, and he's in his bed, and it's dark, and he sees a person, a figure in the corner, and it's a large person or being, whatever. He said it didn't have a face, and it was just dark, like a shadow person. And that when he saw it, he thought, oh, somebody's in the house. And it approached him and it touched him. He got physical and crossed his arms over in front of his body, and it ran away and went in the closet. Now, see, he said that it actually touched him. I personally know I have a story like that as well, and I was a child. Another thing he said about is that he couldn't speak, and a lot of people think of night terrors. Night terrors definitely are tied to seeing these particular entities, or these entities being around you. Like from my experience, I know it's not just something that happens to you out of fear and psychological. It's not just psychological. It's some kind of control they have, um, that emanates from themselves, these beings, because I've seen on more than one occasion where they have stopped people. One particularly, I saw my sister. She couldn't talk anymore. She said a couple things to one of them, and then she couldn't speak. She just was frozen, basically. Not even speak. She couldn't move. She couldn't speak. And so you hear that in a lot of these stories. You hear a lot of these stories where people are saying, I once couldn't. So even when they don't say there's an element of fear, an element of fear, they don't say, oh, I was so terrified I couldn't move. They're just like, I wanted to speak. I wanted to ask questions. I couldn't move. So the man's story from him being a boy is just one of many stories that I can listen to. And I'm like, yeah. And what I noticed is they manifest. I'm going to use that word, manifest. They manifest themselves onto certain people more than they do others. Now, you could possibly come across one in or two or many if you're out hiking, if you're in the wilderness a lot. You possibly you increase your chances of actually you seeing one, okay, or seeing them. But I'm talking about like in that would be what they call the dark watchers, right? In the elements, out in the wilderness. But when I talk about, it's going to be short. I'm going to have to do part. I don't know what even part, because I've done this before. Anyway, so there's different types, right? But if you've seen one once, chances are it increases your chance of seeing it again. So me, I've seen them. How's my audio? Let me look in the chat. Okay, good morning, Benita. Peace. Yeah. Yoda says, what made you come out and start talking about this? I've been talking about it throughout the years, since forever. But I always just abandon it and then I go back to it because how things are. People, they use anything to, look at this, she's crazy. I was just watching a video at this on this, and I was just telling someone earlier about a shadow I saw on my fireplace as my uncle transitioned. Oh, definitely, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. The link is that when people transition, you'll see shadows. You'll see those shadow figures, not just shadows, but shadows of of a being, like what would say the way our bodies are shaped. Two arms, by people's. I say bipedal, and some people don't pronounce it that way, but so you'll see a figure, and then you'll also see when people don't transition, you'll see them come at night and you'll think you're asleep when you're in that twilight, that twilight sleep. So, my condolences to you about your uncle. And yes, that's very true. I haven't fully put it together if these are, there's so much. Okay, so the dark watchers, the shadow people that you see inside your home, because I was going to make okay, I saw one when I was little, picked me up out of my bed. I must have been 4. And then I saw one when I was out with friends. There were 4 of us. We were out by the lake at Lake Pleasant. And it was there. It was something there for hours and hours. And I looked at it and I didn't know what it was. And, finally it stood up and started walking toward us. So that's second time. The third time that I can fully recall is when well, there's 4 times, but the third time was when I was putting my son to sleep for a nap, and it appeared. And then the 4th time, I was with my husband at the time, my ex-husband, my sister, and his friend, and we were all together, and we all saw it in the middle of the living room. So 4 times. 4 solid times that I can say, oh yes, that is definitely what I saw. So we can hear you, but it was a little choppy for a second. Oh, thanks. Peace, Toady. Good morning. So they tend to keep coming in your home. I'm talking about the ones you might see in the house. They tend to keep coming and showing up. And it's not a hallucination because I've seen them when I saw it with so the first time I saw it, interestingly, this is something I'm just looking at. First time I saw one, my sister was there. She saw it. She even said, leave her alone, mister, because it was a big, big, big shadow person. And it had like what you would call, it even spoke to me. And it had like a male voice. And then after that, the second time, I was with people at the lake. So I've always seen them with other people. When I think about it, I saw one the first time with my sister when we were very small. Secondly, with some friends at the lake. Third was with my sister, my husband at the time, and his friend. And the 4th was when I was putting my son was terrified of it. So I always saw it with somebody else. I never so it definitely was real. And have you ever looked at someone and seen their eyes turn black? No, but that's interesting. Huh. I've heard of the black-eyed children. You ever heard of those children that this phenomenon of children knocking on the door saying, "Is it food time?" at people's doors? You ever heard of those children called the black-eyed children? And they have black eyes, but I've never seen that. That's some stuff that would be very disturbing to me. Let's see. When you see or feel a supernatural presence, don't be afraid. Ask their name. Ask what their name is and what they want. You are very brave, my friend. Okay, if you can do that, y'all. Oh, some people are too scared to do that though. Oh, I forgot. My mom told me she saw one coming down basement stairs. She found out later that a man had killed his family in that house. Yikes. Yeah, that's see, I think so right there what you're bringing up, Benita. I know there's a connection, but I don't think I'm going to be real. From my experience, spirits. Oh my gosh, there's a crying baby somewhere. It's not a crying baby, kind of whiny, but okay. So what you saw with your uncle's spirit, and then that spirit, that I'm gonna say that even though that we're all connected and that's connected, I'm gonna say from my experience that those are different entities. These now these watchers, which is still interesting because I wonder how much they can communicate and connect with actual transition spirits. I suspect they can. I suspect they can. But these watchers and these shadow people, I believe from my experience and from what I've seen and what I've heard from other people, that these are actual beings in the earth. They're not only spirit. They are the type of being that can go ethereal, like they can make themselves into, they can manipulate the elements. And because they can manipulate the elements, they can make themselves liquid. They can make themselves, well, solid. They can make themselves ethereal, like even that means dry, but rain is like not ethereal, like in the elements, like floating like a mist in the air almost, but not really even in a mist. Gaseous, like I know that sounds silly, but I know that we should be able, all should be able to do that. We can do it manually, right? In a lab, or even not in a lab, in a kitchen. We can turn water into ice, which is a solid, and we can turn it into gas by, heating it up, and it can just be in its liquid form. So we manipulate the matter. I from knowing that, looking at science, and then looking at different spiritual writings, and then listening to different stories, and then just from my experience, I believe, I have to use believe because there's no hard scientific evidence. So from my experience and from my research and I believe, or I've come to the conclusion, not even conclusion, so far has that I know that these things are like capable of moving within this particular realm environment like a spirit, but they're not spirits. But they are spirits, get it? Because we're all spiritual, but they are not. They're like an actual being, like I am, or like a frog, or like a bird. But they can just like change themselves like you see in the sci-fi movies, you know what I'm saying? Like one minute somebody's talking, oh, this, I'm here to talk to you, I will be back, and then they just like dissipate into the elements, like on Star Trek when you see them like beaming themselves up and down out of from this from the craft, and then they've beamed themselves actually down into wherever they want to be, their destination. That's that's what they can do. They can move in this realm, in this in the elements. They can manipulate or change themselves in that way. Why am I saying that? Peace has ascent of Phoenix. Good morning. Yeah, it's a type of alchemy. You know, it's all the secret. What we think is secret sciences. It's just they can do it, and they then entertain this, right? We know about these different humans that we talk about, right? And we know that in the book of Enoch, and in the Bible, Genesis 6, and in the Enuma Elish, even in all holy writings, we have demigods, right? We have these type of beings that mix, so to speak, with humans, and then they create this half god, half human being. So I know that there's some of them out there like that as well, who can actually walk amongst us. Like, those are actually watchers. There's watchers that can be amongst us like in human flesh form, but they can also go into this shadow type of being, or ethereal type of being. And so I was going to say, we've heard of, like, what is it, Denisovans or Denisovans, whatever, how you pronounce it, Denisovans, Neanderthals. We've heard about these so-called extinct humans, right? We've heard of them. And we say, oh, they don't exist anymore. Yeah, see, that's easy for us to say. Oh, they don't exist because we can't see them, so they don't exist. We don't know that. We do not know for certain. We, from our exploration, from what we've covered, the land that we've been in, we don't see them anymore, right? Now I know all about, oh, but we can see them in our DNA. But entertain this. So there are these beings that live in, I think it's Costa Rica. They call them like ape men. It might not be Costa Rica, it might be somewhere else, but there's different parts of the forest, the rainforest, like the jungle. Even in Africa, it might be, damn, I can't remember the name of, but okay. I'm 100% sure that it's rainforest of Africa and of South America and Central America. Okay, so we've got these forests where they find people, but they're not human. They like are giants, and they are dark figures. You know, some people have called them like gorilla men or ape men, but I suspect that humans made it or joined with these beings that we talk about, these watchers, ancient humans. So, why am I talking about this? Because I know that one of them picked me up. So, they're not just like shadows, they actually can be flesh and blood. Kind of all over the place right now. But so there are some that have never made it with humans, right? and they exist. I'm talking about shadow people or dark watchers, whatever. They've never made it with humans, and they're just these beings, these shadow beings. And then there are some that have made it with humans. And these are the ones that I think that primarily are seen living in the forest and like are seen as like this Sasquatch or the Yenaldushi or the why am I saying that? Because also the ones that I'm talking about made it, even looking at ancient writings, they like blood, they like meat, they like flesh, they eat. I don't know about the ones that like the dark watcher shadow people, if you're following me. I don't suspect that they actually eat. I wouldn't see they've moved beyond eating, like having to put something in their mouth or in the part where their digestive system is and swallow it. I don't think they're too advanced for that. Even though the catch, well, the double entendre or the irony is that they're ancient beings, but they're advanced. Get it? They're waiting for us to catch up with them. They're not even waiting. They just know that we will reach. Unlike us, how we evolve, they don't evolve. The Dark Watchers don't evolve. The Shadow People don't evolve. Now, the ones that made it with the human, that one is kind of like that one is stuck in like a rut because they're not evolving because they have, stay with me on this. See, the ones that are the demigods, the ones so-called demigods, are like the ones that made it with this type of being, the shadow people, the dark watchers, the human, the ancient human that made it. That side of that portion of them never evolves. That portion of, so if you have like a shadow person who's never been human, it's a different type of species. Okay, that would be like the Anunnaki or the Elohim. That was like the creator gods, right? So they are still in the earth, and they create. So they are the creator gods. Throughout time, they mate with human, right? When they mate with human, because they never evolve anyway, they just are. They actually are ancient, and they're advanced from us, and they're beyond this realm. They're here, but they know, like, they connect to all the multiverse, like literally can travel through the multiverse, and they know how, where we as humans are just still trying to figure it out. We're using, like, they're looking at us as so primitive, like how we look at the chimpanzee or the orangutan, how they're trying to just barely use tools. They're looking at us trying to use CERN, and we think CERN is so advanced, but they're like, oh my God, they're really doing this to try to, figure things out. What? They're looking at us with, like, the Hadron Collider, and they're just like, oh my God, so primitive. How cute. That's what they're thinking. Now, these watchers, these people, but these beings, they made it with ancient humans. When they made it with ancient humans and then they brought forth that being, that one offspring, even though half of that offspring is advanced for, like, beyond our understanding, a part of that offspring is primitive and does not evolve like we evolve as humans. You get what I'm saying? Because it's in that, because it's in that, it is that type of reproduction. So Why am I saying this? That's why in the stories you hear about them being destructive and powerful, but then even in the book of Enoch, when you read the book of giants, actually, some of them feel remorseful for like killing and eating everybody and all the land and eating just devouring. That's the dark watcher side, like the spiritual, well, I shouldn't say spirit, that type of being, the advanced being side. But the other side is this primitive, um less advanced, less evolved creature side that just loves the taste of blood. So I digress. So then we also have, check this out, mixed into all of us in our population. So say one of those primitive ones had like mixed in with an advanced creator god, right? But then the primitive one mates with a regular human that doesn't have that mix. And then that regular human just keeps on mating with just a regular human. I'm saying regular to just keep things clear. Person's right, and you can see in their DNA. You're like, oh, okay, they're some Neanderthal, or you'll say it doesn't even have to say Neanderthal, right? They'll say, oh, I found the god. Can read in the DNA, there's a God code. So perhaps all of us have it. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing this around. When I say have it, I mean we're offspring. But let me get away from that. I'm just really, really speculating and just throwing stuff out here. Um, I mean with this whole rant, but just food for thought anyway. So, but for sure, for sure, I know that all of these creatures that we're talking about, like these ape men and these deep in the jungle and the Sasquatch and all of these like when they do the cryptozoology, they are linked back to the Dark Watchers, the shadow people. Now, the Dark Watchers, you know how they say some are in the mountains and in the forest and they never come inside the home or the living spaces of humans. I don't exactly think that's true. Just like humans, like a lot of us like to live in certain areas, I believe that they do the same thing, but some of them enjoy coming around and really interacting with us more than others. And they shapeshift, right? They change. And then they come into your space. Also, there are some that have been watching. Each one of us, just entertain this. I'm going to look in, yeah, Epic of Gilgamesh, exactly. Okay, so before I start reading the chat, so I can I should have been reading while I was talking, but I wasn't because I had to get it out. See, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, each one of us, imagine this, like entertain this. Just entertain this. Two of, or maybe a whole family of these dark watchers that watch us and watch our families because they're part of our families. They're like, even if we say they didn't mate, they were a part, like they know, okay, we're the creator gods that are linked to these. We particularly like this group, family of humans, or this tribe. So throughout time, they've stayed with us and watched us and just like interacted with us without us knowing it. Meaning, one time in my family, my mom, we were all in the, so this isn't a dark watcher, but it's something else. So we were all laughing and talking with my mom in her room, as a family. Like we were just around her. And then when it got quiet, and one of them said, clear as day, yes. And it was like, you could say, oh, that was a spirit, but it could have been one of the watchers that just was so called invisible. And it's just, we were laughing, then we got quiet and it said, yes. And we freaked out. My mom has seen a lot of them. Um, they're usually really big, like tall. But anyway, let me look in here. Some break the rules. Yeah, you know what? I think about that too, Tootie. Like, it might be rules that they have to follow. Yoda said, the Epic of Gilgamesh tells the story of the ape man, Enkidu. Yes, that's true. And there's also an ape man in the Hindu, um, what is it? Is it the Bhagavad Gita? It might not be, but you see all these different civilizations, all these different groups, but there's similar. Nepal in the Bible, when Michael battled Satan, who won that battle? Mm, I don't. I gotta get into that because you're talking about revelations, right? I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism, and that's a great question. I gotta sit down and really look at that. I mean, I've looked at it, but I gotta break it down in on a live stream, As Santa Phoenix says, Ascent, Ascenta Phoenix says, some say that those shadow creatures are the jinn. Yeah, spoken in Islam. That's right. Yeah, they do. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's something else I want to say. Look at Cedric in here trolling. Cedric came down out the clouds. Let's see. Peace, Cedric. How did the voice sound? Oh yeah, it was. Exactly. Oh my God, how do you know that? Profundo? It was very deep. Very, very deep. Very deep. It was so deep. I don't want to make you guys laugh. I do my voice impersonations, but it was like, it was more. I can't even go that deep, but it was so deep. And I can remember my ear. I'm even touching my right ear right now. I'll never forget it. My right ear, I had my head was up against the chest of it, so it was like it was matter. And when it walked, it was like really heavy, like boom, boom, boom. The steps, and I mix it up now. I used to remember exactly what it said, but basically, it was saying it wanted to show me something. There's something I want to show you, or it didn't say that, or I think it was let me show you something, or there's something I want to show you. The reason I mix it up now is I had a serious, unbelievable revelation when I took my son to see Where the Wild Things Are, which is a famous book by Maurice Sendak. It's a children's book, but they changed it into a movie. And anyway, I took him to see it, and it was so wild. A scene in the movie, one of those wild things is carrying the boy while he's asleep. And when the boy wakes up, he says, there's something I want you to see. I was in the theater. I had like a mini little breakdown. I was bawling. First, not my son and my husband at the time. They didn't see me, but I was just like so shocked. And even to this day, it tells me a lot. I'm like, how did that movie reenact like what happened to me? And then I thought maybe this happens to a lot of children, not just me. And maybe that's something they say to the children. And it wasn't nefarious at all. I passed, I fainted. It was so much. I fainted the first, okay, so, well, when I say fainted, maybe it made me fall asleep, but when it first picked me up out of the bed, I remember my sister saying, "Leave her alone, mister," and then her just going quiet. And then I just was like gone, boom, blacked out. Well, came to and saw myself being carried, by the thing. So let me be clear. At the foot of my bed, picks me up. My sister, who shared the room, said, "Leave her alone, mister." She goes quiet. I can still picture her. She goes quiet. And I was thinking, what? Why don't you say anything else? Carries me out the door, down the hallway. I'm out. That's when I'm just like, boop. I'm too terrified. Overload senses. Brain shuts down. Not shuts down, but get it. I'm not conscious. I wake up. I'm in the thing's arms, and my ear is against the chest of it or whatever it is, and it's carrying me. It's just a dark face. It doesn't have any like nose, but it does have like hair, and it's not hair. It's like kind of like locks, but they weren't even. That's it. It wasn't like you could see like, oh, that's hair. It was like more all shadow, but they were locks. And then the voice was so deep. It said, "There's something I want to show you," or "Let me show you something." And that's when I was like, oh boy, boom, back, passed out again. Because that terrifying, like, heaviness and that depth of that voice. And it was carrying me down to there was a field that there was a so-called UFO that had actually come down a day or maybe days before. Now, I get it. Cedric's like, wow. And people who don't, if you've never had this experience or if you don't believe it, that's okay. But these things do happen. And it happens to more people than, no, like people might be like, oh, yeah, right, whatever. It happens to a lot of people. So, yes, it was a deep, 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 deep voice. Now, I wanted to go back to what Ascent said about the jinn. All of them are not evil and all of them are not good, just like us. They're exactly in that aspect. There are good ones and there are bad ones. There are ones who are malevolent and there are ones who are benevolent. There are ones who are helpful and they even helped you and very, very supportive. And then there's are those that I would say are not destructive in a vicious way, but just like how we research animals and we don't see it in science as, oh, this is evil what we're doing. No, you know what I mean? How we do experiments on animals. There are some that are not, but at its core, we'd call it destructive because they're not helping. Well, they're helping us in a long run, maybe. That I'm talking about the Dark Watchers. I don't think there are any that are just hateful, like how I believe fear, hate, and fear are primitive, very primitive emotions. So they don't have that. I mean, I know in a lot of the spiritual stories and writings and all the ancient writings that there's a lot of anthropomorphized gods or god, but they don't have that type of emotion. They don't have that type of emotion at all. They don't have those emotion is 50% physiological, right? So They definitely probably don't have any emotion. Maybe there are emotions that we think of, possibly love, which love isn't really an emotion. Love is more of a state of being, and an emotion is a state of being, I know. But what I'm saying is love is not like happy, sad, scared, um, you know. So love isn't an anxiety. Love would be like okay, who can explain love? Come on. But in this context of what I'm discussing, they they can experience a connection with, remember I said there's a group that they kind of like stay with, a tribe, a family, or families. So they definitely can make a connection and want to protect, um want want the best, like want to see this particular tribe of people like prosper, um quickly, they advance like to where they are now. People who are listening to this, and you like, I think Ascent is a good example. I was going to say, and others, here's Moses, I'll read your comment in a second. Okay, so this ties into the Bible, because when we're looking at the book of Enoch, when we even look at Genesis chapter 6, when you look at the beginning, the creation, and you also hear about angels. Remember, all through the Bible, there are angels that come to give messages. See, we think if somebody's floating down out of the blue sky down to the ground. However, what if they are already like in the earth and they're just coming to you? They're coming as messengers. Like, what comes to mind right away, for some reason, is the story of Samson and his parents. Angel came, and how the three angels came to Abraham. Get it? The two angels that were in Sodom and Gomorrah. These are the watchers that, they shape or whatever, they manifest into flesh. We call, and the angels in they're like, oh, you want to grape us? Doop, you're blind. Like, they blinded an entire horde of vicious beast men who wanted to do something. You get it? So throughout these spiritual writings, I use the Bible, but even the Bible, it it aligns with the Bible stories. Now, of course, people say, well, it doesn't say that they live. Why would it even say? Why would people have to say they live in the wilderness? However, many of the stories, when there's a cleanse, you have to get like connected to the Most High and just block everything out. People go into the wilderness. Elijah, Yahushua, Jesus, Moses, right? They're like, and then they went into the wilderness. So, also in Elijah, when it said the birds brought him food, that might be like code. That might be like esoteric for like the watchers. Now I'm going out on a limb. That's just my, uh, you know, I'm interpolating that right now. You know what I'm saying? That's me. That's my eisegesis, right? I'm inserting, boldly inserting into the text. Okay, let's go back and read some of Moses. And wait, though, let me see. Okay, so Shalom to Nepal in the chat room. Yep, I see that. Okay. Some theorize that they are humans vibrating on a different frequency or from another dimension. See right there, ascent. That's the issue. Now, how they said some say they're humans. I don't know if you were here when I said that we think, oh, we know where everything is. So we would call them humans, right? We would call them humans just for lack of another word, but they're part of they're like, I know for call them earthlings. They're earthlings, which is and they are, we say we have dominion over everything, but there's something that created us, which is the most, we say the most high. But okay. And then people who, you don't have to believe this or follow what I think, but from the scripture, from the actual Hebrew, it's plural, and it says creators, like the Elohim. So what if these Elohim are still here, and they are, like you're saying, like your comment, they are earthlings technically, but they connect to other multiverses. See, I actually said something similar to that. I really appreciate your insight. You're always pretty good. Are you an AI? Just kidding. I don't see the short though. You don't have a wrench, I don't think. I gotta give you. I'm on my mobile device, but I gotta get. I don't think you have a wrench because I don't see short. Some say that those shadow creatures are the jinn. Okay, so I saw that. Nepal in the Bible, I read that. Epic of Gilgamesh. Some break the rules. Your voice impressions are. I know, Benita. I'm trying not to be funny right now. I'm trying to be serious. The deep voice, vaso profundo. I don't know what vaso profundo is, but I know in Spanish it would be profundo, I think. But it's the same thing, like deep voice, right? Yeah, deep voice. Oh, wow. I don't know that. I got to look at that. Back to the hieroglyphs. Wow. I got to see that. Okay, Moses. Moses said, if I hear and see you speaking negative words with someone name attached to it, and what you are saying is false, and I come to attack you in your dreams, am I a bad dark watcher? If I see you speaking negative words with someone's name, and it's slander, it's false witness, and then I come to your dreams and attack you. No, you're not bad. You're not bad. You're a regulator. So, yeah, metaphysical atheism. Okay. Do you know we can tell you don't know what the fuck you're talking about because we totally can, just in case. Okay, well, you know what? Let me put this on the screen. This is what we call low vibrational, everyone, and this can help us. I'm not even mad at this person. We're talking on a different level. I know we're not talking about what happened to Diddy, and there's no twerking on here right now. We're not talking about, we're not lying on people saying that they are, PDF files, and we're not talking about football. We're over here talking about things that are unseen. And if that bothers you, me and Kiki and ZX snitched on Rob Rack. Okay, that's okay. I can already see what I mean. I didn't even read the name. And I brought that up about like the gossip. This is somebody who wants to talk about that are not. We want to be advanced over here. So, okay, thank you so much. Everybody can see that I don't know what I'm talking about. Got it. Enjoy your day, okay? So, Moses says Hebrew definition for the English word angel is deputy. And see, we got to cleanse now. That's interesting. That's so wild. Someone actually took the time to make a fake account to talk about things that mean nothing, really, besides low vibration. And then they came in here because they're afraid of us leaving them behind. Can I say that again? That person is afraid of us leaving them behind. And the cold part is you're leaving yourself behind. You're actually cutting the tether and saying, go on without me when you act like that. Okay? So, all right, deputy, and they work for God, aka judges, magistrates. Interesting. That's an interesting point. Thank you. Let's see. What makes people gods and angels is the ether from above that created their genetic. That's interesting, actually. When you say that about the ether is what distinguishes them as gods. There's something to that. I don't know um about creating their genetics, but definitely the ether is a key. If you think about ancient science and you think about alchemy, there the actual word quintessential, which means like ultimately like the best, or the like the not even just the best, like the most perfect. Quintessential is based off of the fifth element. The word that you see in the word quint, there's five. The fifth element is the ether. So definitely interesting comments. Thank you so much. The ether created wool people. Oceans created straight haired people. Okay, I can't. I'm not really. I don't know about that. Keep me blocked. You're not okay. You're not blocked, but I don't know why you would want to be. All you have to do is just stop commenting. Very low vibration. Okay, so let's see here. Tahuti, thank you. That is a candidate for IP address research. People with low racial energy will be dealt with. That's true, Moses. You know, patience is a virtue, and just as the water molds the actual stone, does the stone really think that the water can win? You know, you take a stone in the moment and you throw it into the pond, and it permeates the water. It goes through the water. And it thinks, yes, I'm the one penetrating you. I'm in here, bloop. And over time, that water dissolves that stone. So the water is actually the one that wins, that's most powerful. So the water can dissolve the stone. So the water is more powerful. It just takes, the water needs more time. And the water has time. All it has is time to just be there, moving along the stone and paving the way. The water does. So we are water, right? We are water. And they are rigid, petrified stone. Is this the same as they say the witch ride my back? Well, I don't know what that means, friend. I don't know. So I'm going to look at this last comment from Moses, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish what I was doing today. But I like talking about this. I really need to. I said to my regular supporters that I want to come live at least once a week, more than that, on my channel. So let's see here. Ether has to have a physical body to function on Earth. I believe that. I do believe that as well. Maybe I didn't explain the genetic part. No, I just, excuse me. I think that goes back to what I was saying about these beings. Like, you can see it in the DNA, and you know how they say about the God, not the God particle, the God gene, but it can go back to the God particle, the boson. Because I was talking about how these watchers or shadow people, or these beings, the hadron collider, and all of our science is primitive to them. So let me see here what Tahuti says. Yeah, I gotta get going too. Gotta log in for work. Talk to you later. Love you so much. Okay, bye. I love you too, brother. Johnny Parker is referring to the hags that suspend people with sleep paralysis. Oh, okay. Like Lilith, right? Like the okay. I'm not familiar with that. I'm familiar with that idea that there is a feminine these beings are feminine and they're linked to sleep paralysis like succubi and Lilith and but I didn't know about the hags. Oh, so the hags are what we would call the like banshees, right? The baby eaters, right? The screaming, howling women that take the children like Lilith in the night. Same concept, right? Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. About the Johnny Parker. I didn't know about that. I'm a Pisces, the Jesus fish. I'm definitely water. I knew you were Pisces. You're a very, very deep thinker, and you also absorb a lot. Um, which isn't bad, but it can be, taxing. People like to say empath, but I just want to use absorb. We all may call. We all may call, but we have different we all may be called, but we have different assignments and different spiritual ranks. Okay, that's good. I love that statement. Okay, FS Drake though. Did it sound stressed? The sound? No, it didn't. It sounded very, very controlled and relaxed. Very, very controlled and relaxed. In fact, it didn't make me feel, even though obviously it's something. Back then I was scared because like, what the heck? But now it was never aggressive or stressed or it didn't have any anxiety or it wasn't anxious. It just was very matter of fact. Like once with my son, when I said I saw it with my son, I was putting my son to sleep and I was patting my son's back and it showed up and it said, "You're not doing that right. Let me show you how to do it." And then it started coming toward me and I was like, ah. I didn't scream though because I couldn't even speak. I couldn't say anything. I was trying to. And my son said something. He said, "Mommy, I'm scared." But that was when he was a little baby. He was a little toddler. Yes, you don't have to believe this. And this is for entertainment purposes. I'm going to throw that out there in case somebody tries to somehow use this against me. All of this is for entertainment purposes. I'm on the channel just trying to make you think, giving you some stuff to think about. Take your mind to another level. Even if it's going to help you to be more creative, using your right brain more. I believe that's a creative side, right? Is it? Don't quote me, but you get what I'm saying. Using the creative side of your brain. I don't know. Is left brain creative? God, I'm rusty. That tells me I need to read some more books and brush up, do some remedial studying. I think it's right. Nupa, ever been awake from sleep but you cannot move your body? Yes, that's sleep paralysis, and that's interesting. Some say that that's your brain trying to catch up from like coming out of sleep, but it's interesting. That's a great topic. These are great stories. I like talking about this. Like, these are great topics, great discussions. We don't always have to be seeing who's going to go to jail, who's this and that. It's like, I'm talking about Puffy. We can take our minds to connect with this existence. We're in this realm. We need to go beyond what we know and start to entertain our imagination, because our imagination may be exactly what we thought we know, but one day we will know we know. Does that make sense? No, we know. Do you believe dark watchers are people from the ether without their physical bodies? See, that's what Ascent and I were like. She commented, and I'm sure other people who didn't comment. It's still up in the air. That's why we need to discuss this more. No pun intended. Get it? Up in the air, the ether. Y'all like that? So, um, corny, right? So yeah, let's keep on like a whisper. It wasn't a whisper though. It was. It was just calm, very deep speech, and it was what's he delivering? Oh, okay. I'm being nosy. It was it was just like a voice like I don't know, when you were little, remember when you were little, right? And your parents took you like when you're asleep, let's say you fell asleep in the car. Speaking of them getting out of the car. You fall asleep in the car, right? And and you're like your dad picks you up or your mom. What in the hell is happening here? I'm seriously getting irritated by something that I can't say. Anyway, um, you know how your parents pick you up out of the car and they're like, "Come on, let's go." Sometimes it's a little sweeter than that. Like your mom might be a little nicer than your dad. Like your dad. Let's say your dad. Your dad's like, "Come on, buddy." Or that kind of vibe. But it didn't say buddy. It was just like let's go. You know, like it was calm. It wasn't anxious. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't mean. It just was. Do you remember the exact words? I want to write it how it sounded. Well, with my son, when I was little, it was. I can't, for some reason, I used to know it, but the exact words I used to know, but for sure it was on the lines of, there's something I want to show you. It wasn't that. It was, I want to show you something. Something like, see, so it's the same. I just can't remember. I used to know it exactly. I mean, come on, I was like 4, but I remember it. I used to know exactly what it said. It was, there's something I want to show you, or let me show you something. It's let me show you something. That's the more when I say let me show you something, it's more feeling like it was that. It was let me show you something. And then with with my son, I remember vividly because I was older, right? I was obviously an adult. It said, "You're not doing that right." And then it said, "Let me show you." Just like this. "You're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it." Just like that. Because I was frustrated. I wanted my son to go to sleep. So I was like patting his back, like, "Go to sleep," you know, singing. And it was like, I wanted him to go to sleep and hurry because I had some work to do and I needed him to just take a nap first. I had read the story saying, but he wasn't going to sleep. And I wasn't being mean or anything, but it showed up and it was like, "You're not," but the voice was so deep. So I can't do it right now because it sounds too silly. But it was like really, really deep, like deeper than this. You know what I mean? So it was like, "You're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it." And then it started coming toward me to actually, I was like, "Oh, hell no." I didn't say that though, but I was scared. So was my child. And I was trying to do, you know, back then I was, you know, I was Christian and I still am Christian, but I was like rebuking it in the name of Jesus. And I was trying to, I couldn't even do it, but I was thinking of it. Like, I want to say rebuke you in the name of Jesus, but I couldn't say it. I could not say it at all. and it was like coming toward us from the living room into the room. So the door was open, and it was like walking from, we had a bar area, and like a breakfast bar, and it was like boom, boom. I could feel, like, hear and feel the vibration of the steps, and it was like boom, the steps, and it was coming in, and my son was like, "Mommy, I'm scared," and I couldn't talk because I wanted to do that. I wanted to say, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." I couldn't say it. That's crazy. I'm laughing because I could not say it, and I now I know that it was holding me from saying it. But then when it disappeared, I just said, just like this, I went, Jesus. That was creepy to me, even, I mean, right now. And when I think about it, because it was holding me from saying it. So you know how they're like, just rebuke it in the name of Jesus. It's like, the thing wouldn't let me say it. But you can think it, though. I'm not saying that it's wrong to those out there who rebuke things in the name of Jesus. I'm not making fun of you. You can mentally, that's another topic we can discuss, but I couldn't say it. And then when it disappeared, it didn't come because I was terrified. And I guess now I'm speculating that it said, oh, she's scared. I'm not trying to scare her. And then when it disappeared, I instantly could say Jesus, but it wasn't like Jesus. It was just like a real soft, calm Jesus that I said. It was wild. Yep, that's true. So let me read these. I'm going to look at that. I'm going to look at that for sure. So is it protundo? I guess it is, right? Because it's, all right. Basso would be voice, right? And then protundo. Why am I thinking it's basso profundo? I would think, because I'm thinking deep, I guess. But I'm going to look that up. I will definitely look that up. But it definitely was so deep, 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 deep. And you know what's interesting, FS Straight Theo and everybody? How does opposite of a soprano? Okay, gotcha. Now, listen, how does the world know that that deep voice is one of them? Because they use the deep voice on scary stuff, right? Like when they're trying to do scary, like, oh, this is a demon. How do we know that? How do we instinctively know that? Why don't they use a real high pitched voice when they're trying to do like something scary? They always use that deep, deep voice. So there's more proof that we know, we know that this is something, that deep voice. So I'm going to read this and I'll be out. I've heard that voice behind me several times, see? But never saw where it comes from. It has a way of making your spine feel like liquid instead of bone. Exactly. Like you're just like, I believe, see, I have to say believe. From what we're finding out, and from my experience and others' recount of their experiences, they can, because they have a great dominion and control of, and they can manipulate the elements. It's nothing for them to do those things, like, actually change the way you feel or control if you can say something. And we see this in a lot of science fiction stuff, but it's real. High pitched. Okay. People don't understand what it really means to rebuke things in the name of Jesus. They're actually calling for the fall of the kingdom they are in and the rise of Cush and Kemet kingdom. Oh, okay. All right. But this is the last one I'm reading. But they never leave the kingdom they rebuked. So Kemet and Cush never get rebuilt. Oh, all right. You get really deep, Moses. I appreciate the comments from everybody. I'm going to go ahead and talk to y'all later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. and have a beautiful day. But keep this in mind all day, that we're not alone, not just in the skies, all just right around the corner in your home. We're not alone. It's deep. These are the conversations that needs. Yes, I will relay that message to him right now. Peace.